Hi, I'm Black Dragon, and welcome to our YouTube channel, Think Tactical. And as always, we'd like to thank you for tuning in from wherever it is that you happen to be in the entire world. We have been offline for quite some time due to illness and things like that, but we are still around, still here. You'll be hearing from Myron, Coach Myron, and Bob Coleman soon as we start to ramp this thing back up and get everything back together. Think Tactical is a channel that wants you to be prepared for what may come in the future ahead. And so we talk about things that you should keep up here to help you keep your family in a protected situation, always thinking tactical. So for those of you who are death penalty advocates, Attorney General Barr orders reinstatement of the federal death penalty. And this is breaking because this is going to be the first time that they have been doing this in 16 years. It's been 16 years since the last federal death penalty was carried out. And a big part of it has been a fight over the drugs used to inflict lethal injection. People have argued and complained that the drugs have just been too cruel. Probably not near as cruel as the people that were murdered by the adjudicated guilty people. But supposedly for a country that is civil and civilized, when we put someone to death, we put them to death because they broke the law, not necessarily to punish them with torture. That's kind of how it works for us. So people who have committed the most heinous crimes have been sitting around for a while on death row. And so they are going to put to death the later part of this year, December, into sometime in January. They're going to put to death several men who have been convicted of killing horrendous crimes that have included killing children. So on Thursday, Attorney General William Barr directed the Justice Department to adopt a new rule for carrying out the death penalty. And he said, "We owe it to our victims and their families to carry forward the sentence imposed by our justice system." So as a think tactical kind of idea for those of us that watch this channel, what does that mean? Well, what we hope it means is that it will act as a deterrent, which to this point there has never been. All the studies say that it doesn't particularly act as a deterrent, the death penalty, but we're hoping that more folks that know that a heinous crime that you commit, that you are federally charged for and federally found guilty for, could end in your death by lethal injection or something like that. And maybe that gives citizens another cog in the wheel of protection that helps us to know that maybe the government has our backs when it comes to administering the death penalty. There are some crimes so heinous that a person probably doesn't need to be with us anymore. At least a lot of people feel that way. And that has been the law of the land. But now it's back. For those people who agree with that, it's back on the table. And we're going to run this clip so you guys can get a good view of it and understand that it's here now. And perhaps for people whose families have been affected by horrendous murderers, like the Charles Manson family. All of those people that killed the Tate and LaBianca folks and more, carved babies out of people's stomachs and silliness like this. Those people all have, those who have died, lived good, righteous, long lives in prison and were taken care of and ate 3 meals a day and were in environments where they were housed and fed and protected and they had rights and rules way more than that they gave their victims. So we might be able to understand that folks might not be so willing to do such horrible things if they know that there is going to be payment, perhaps with their lives, on the other end. So we have that video. Let's go ahead and cut to that video.
Some breaking news out of the Justice Department. The Attorney General William Barr now saying the federal government will resume the death punishment after nearly 2 decades. Let's bring in NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams with more. Pete, what do we know?
Well, the Attorney General says he is ordering a change in the lethal injections system used for prisoners at the Terre Haute prison, where the federal death penalty has been carried out by lethal injection. And he has ordered the government to resume the death penalty and has the Bureau of Prisons says it will seek to execute 5 prisoners that are on death row, 5 of them for especially grisly or heinous murders. And the first of these executions would begin in December, and then the others would continue into January. The federal government has long had the death sentence, but there's only 3 people that have been put to death in the federal system since the death penalty was reimposed in the modern era after the Supreme Court stopped it in the 1970s. The last execution, the last federal execution, was in 2003. Only 3 people carried out that death sentence in the modern era, but there are 60 prisoners on death row. So these 5 that have been scheduled to receive lethal injection all have exhausted their legal appeals. Many of the others on death row have not. For example, Johar Tsarnaev, who was given the death penalty for the Boston Marathon bombing, his lawyers are still appealing and still challenging some of the circumstances of his trial. But what's held up the death penalty nationwide in many states, and certainly in the federal system, is legal challenges over the traditional 3-drug protocol. Some have argued that if the drugs are not given in exactly the right dosage, it causes excruciating pain before the heart is stopped. And what Barr has ordered the Bureau of Prisons to do is change its protocols and use just a single drug to carry out the death penalty, a single drug that many states are now switching to. So this is a move sort of counter to the what's been the trend in the states, is against the death penalty and against the death sentence. But it remains legal. It remains something that attorneys general under both Republican and Democratic administrations have approved the death sentence, seeking the death sentence in especially serious cases. And Attorney General Barr says that given its legality and given a way to do it that will avoid some of these legal challenges over the 3-drug protocol, it's time to restart it in the federal system.
So as you can see, it's going to be something. And this isn't going to go over easy. This is going to be fought against. This is going to be fought against from the highest levels. There are people that absolutely do not believe in the death penalty. They don't believe in guns. They don't believe in the Second Amendment. They don't believe in your right to defend yourself. None of that. And they will be fighting hard against the reinstatement of the death penalty. And so I don't know if this is a foregone conclusion. I don't know if this is going to happen. There may be some judges that weigh in and block it and all kinds of things going on. As you saw in the video, they've decided to go to a 1-drug combination. But the purpose of the 3 drugs was so that a person could die pretty much effortlessly, even though that isn't how it had turned out in many instances. But the purpose of the 3 drugs was, you stop a person's, you put a person to sleep, then you slow their breathing or something like that, and then you hit them with the final third drug in the concoction, which stopped their heart. So the one drug, I don't know how it works differently. Perhaps it does all, and part of the problem was that if this wasn't done at the right time or whatever, you could screw somebody up, as we saw in the video. But I don't know how this one drug works to handle it all. I guess we shall see what comes up. But anyway, don't think that because they bring something back like this, that you can be less vigilant, because you can't. You still must be as vigilant as you ever were in order to keep yourself alive. Okay, that's my 2 cents on this one. Let us know what you think about it in the comments below. You can read more about this on our website, thinktactical.com. And this will also play on our podcast, which is called Think Tactical, that you can get on the Spreaker platform now. And soon you'll be able to get it on all the platforms all around the country. Coach Petro and Bob Coleman will be back soon. And we will be looking forward to talking to you guys more about always being prepared and always remembering to think tactical.